This past weekend, Gracelife supporters took part in a protest that resulted in the vandalization and harassment of Enoch Nation members and property. We discussed the situation with Councillor Amanda Morin. Councillor Morin, thank you for your time. A couple of questions here I have for you is, has the nation been in direct contact with Gracelife Church in regarding this matter?
Not at this time, no. Chief and Council did meet with the team yesterday, and one of the suggestions was to send sort of a statement or a letter to the church itself, and that hasn't happened yet.
Oh, okay. Over the last 10 years, has the nation had altercations between Gracelife and their supporters?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, so this would be a first.
Yes.
Okay. Has the damage to Enoch Nation property and members gone beyond what has already been reported?
As far as I know, no, there has not been any other damages that have been reported from the incident on Sunday.
Okay. How can the protesters from last weekend reconcile their negative actions towards your nation?
So actually a lot of those individuals that did park on the nation, they have been reaching out, whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through our communications team, even individually. Like, I've received a couple of messages right in my inbox, you know, apologizing. When I was out there on Sunday, I would say 95% of the individuals that were parked were very apologetic, didn't want to cause any trouble, you know, had said that they had no idea where they were parked. And I did, you know, reply that as, you know, adults and individuals, we all have responsibility to make sure we're, you know, being respectful to ourselves and others as well. So I've thanked, you know, people that have messaged myself. Our communications team has been thanking those that have come forward. You know, thinking about that, definitely it's very thoughtful and it's kind, and you know, that's all really we were looking for. Had, you know, the organization reached out to the nation ahead of time and said, listen, are you guys okay with us parking on the nation? We would be having quite a different conversation today.
Absolutely.
Had that just, you know, been a thought for them instead of just going ahead and, you know, and so it's unfortunate. However, a lot of learning has transpired, I believe, on both sides. There were, you know, about 5% of the individuals that were asked kindly to remove their property would, you know, argue, would say they had a right to park wherever they wanted, would get aggressive and begin, you know, having racist comments. And, you know, in those moments, individuals would feel threatened, and I certainly did on Sunday. However, when put in those, you know, circumstances, I chose to reaffirm that you have an opportunity to remove your property off of our nation, or you will be towed. And I walked away, because I could have sat there and argued.
Absolutely.
Got into more conflict, but for what? Like, for what, you know? And so from that point, the 5% that would get aggressive and, you know, begin throwing kind of racist comments, this and that, I wouldn't have it. I didn't give any more, you know, time or energy. I would walk away. But again, before I did that, here's the consequence if you do not remove your property.
Which is fair. Absolutely.
Yep. The nation, you know, in the last few days has just been dealing with now kind of the fallout. The racism piece has been coming up quite a bit. Some of our nation members are feeling threatened, and that's not okay. It's not okay, you know, when it happens in public, when it's in stores, when it's wherever it is. Racism is not okay. When our members were put in those situations on Sunday, that was very hurtful, and you know, I'm grateful to say that there weren't any physical altercations that erupted. Our nation members came peacefully, respectfully, asserting, you know, their right to protect their nation and their community from any type of vandalism. The chief's grandmother, who is 81 years old, lives right on the corner where there was a whole lot of people that parked. Chief had gone there to check up on her and had been surprised to see the amount of people that were parked on the service road that's right in front of her property, and there is a no trespassing sign right there. It says Enoch, Cree Nation. People just parked there anyway, and so when Chief arrived, he had asked his cookum if it was okay, you know, that people parked there. She said no. Like,
Oh my gosh.
I believe in, you know, people attending church. I believe in freedoms of, you know, people's right to the freedom of speech and the right to protest, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
However, I also believe in keeping, you know, the community safe. Not even just the nation, but Albertans. We've all been going through this pandemic, and I get it. We're all exhausted. We're tired. Our community wants to be around our family. We want to do those things. However, we also know that, you know, by not following guidelines, we have seen the impacts within our own nation. We've lost one nation member to COVID, and that's one too many for us. We've had our operations severely impacted because of COVID. So we don't, you know, we don't take, you know, I guess the thought that it's not that what the protesters were doing, we're not against that. However, within our own nation, we have a right to protect and keep our nation safe, our members safe.
Absolutely.
On the onset of the pandemic, we had put in many, many efforts to keep our nation safe. And again, you know, we've lost one nation member. However, you know, on the other side of that, we have an excellent health team who has helped. We have many, many frontline workers who have helped and have worked tirelessly to ensure we're all kept safe. So the events of Sunday, and when our chief's grandmother, you know, started seeing all these people just parking.
Yeah. After your battle you've been going through with everything and maintaining everything, right? Yeah.
And so when Chief had started asking individuals to remove their property, it started escalating, and because there was only Chief, his 81-year-old grandmother, and one RCMP member present. And so what happens is bullying happens, racism happens. It got to the point where it was physical. They were throwing dirt at his vehicle and kicking his vehicle. That is not okay. And so when members seen his Facebook Live, members stood up and they came out and helped. I seen 10 seconds of this video and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I got in my vehicle, in my jammies, I just went to help because I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I didn't go there to be violent. I went there to say, listen, this is not okay.
Yeah.
When our nation showed up, I'm so proud of our members that felt safe that they could do so. Because not only, you know, did we need the help of our CMP, they also needed our help. There was only 2 RCMP members scheduled to work that day. So we were outnumbered.
Yeah.
And, you know, when people, our nation members started showing up, that bullying stopped because we said, you are not going to bully us. I mean, we didn't say that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But we took a stance and strengthened numbers, and it worked because there was no altercations after that. There was one separate incident and the RCMP dealt with it accordingly, and we're thankful for that. But yeah, like it's not acceptable. Bullying in any form is not okay.
No.
It is certainly not okay when it's happening to an 81-year-old woman.
No.
And a member of our nation, her grandson, which happens to be our chief.
Yeah.
That is like, if it was anybody else from our nation, that is not okay.
Absolutely. That's a lot to deal with, and I believe you guys made the right choices. So I guess to lead on to that exactly is, what kind of response can we expect from your nation if this harassment and vandalism and everything you've told me, if it continues? I'm not sure. I don't believe it will, seeing the amount of contact you had. But if it this coming weekend or in the future, if it continues, how can we expect you to react? Or how do you feel is appropriate action?
The nation is in a position to respond and not react. We do have security set up now in the event that there are trespassers on our nation. We met with a team yesterday and implemented some actions that we have put into motion. So now we won't be tolerating people trespassing onto the nation.
Absolutely.
Again, you know, just keeping our community safe and getting the messaging out that we do support people's rights. We do, you know, we do encourage freedom of speech. We, along with, you know, any other individual as a human, all deserve to be respected.
Yeah.
And if we are disrespected, we will implement actions that we need to keep ourselves safe. We will address hate crime, and we have already been doing that this week. We will address racism, absolutely, bullying, and we will address any, you know, vandalism on our nation according to our laws. And, you know, with the help of the laws of, you know, Alberta and the Canadian laws, we respect those laws, and that's all we're asking for. We are very kind, we are very loving, we are very welcoming. However, if, you know, we're not even considered to be asked permission to, you know, set up on our nation to park, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And now we're dealing with the after effects, and that's okay. It's a learning opportunity. I also believe that this is an opportunity to educate the public on First Nation sovereignty. It's an opportunity to advocate for, you know, anti-racism. It's an opportunity to further continue reconciling our relationships, all our relationships, Canada-wide. This is another opportunity to do that, to do good.
Absolutely. It's right in our faces right now.
There is.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. And so we kind of already went over this, but I guess just to really sum it up, what does the nation think is the absolute most important thing Albertans should know about this whole situation? So racism, sovereignty, absolutely all these things, but
communication is
communication, right? Yeah.
We're very understanding people.
Yeah.
And that can be said for a majority of humans. We're all very understanding. However, give us that opportunity. A lot of this could have been prevented had we just been asked.
Yeah, absolutely. Communication is key. Then I would agree with that statement as well. We could even, if that was continuous communication, like just keep continuing that on, I believe there could be a lot done.
Absolutely. Because once we hear from one another, we can understand, you know, where the other sits.
Exactly.
how the other's feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Understanding goes a long way. On Sunday, as I've said, you know, when my buttons were being pushed and I was being disrespected, I could have lost all understanding. I could have lost all patience. However, I didn't. Even, you know, with comments like, Enoch sucks. And I said, why? Because we're standing up for ourselves. We're asking you politely to remove your belongings. We suck because we're using our voices to ask you to ask us permission to park on our nation.
Absolutely.
Understanding goes a long, long way.
Yeah.
And so it's frustrating. I'm feeling frustrated. However, through all of this, I know that there's many opportunities, good opportunities from this incident, from this situation, and learning for everybody. We can all be better humans.
I agree. Perfect. Yeah, so that's all we had for today. And thank you so much for your time today, Councillor Morin. By the way, it's beautiful in here.
Thanks.
Never been in here before, and thank you so much for everything. And I really was excited to hear your voice on the matter. So thank you once again.
Thank you very much for your time and allowing us to get our messaging out there so that we're not misunderstood.
We will continue to do so. So thank you.